Well, today's Sunday, and I spent about 2 hours cleaning the shop because it was getting pretty disheveled, and I can't work well when the shop is dirty. So it's nice and clean now. Vacuumed everything, put away everything, and I think the next step we're gonna take today is got about an hour left of work time. I'll probably pull the rear differential out from underneath this guy, drain it, and just get it prepped to weld on the support brace that's right here, and everything that goes along with it. And there's also going to be a couple of things we're going to have to rearrange on here, such as the shock mount on that side. We're going to have to turn it to face the front like this one is, because our bags are going to mount behind the axle. And another problem we're going to have is this little breather tube is gonna have to be relocated as well, because the support brace here has an extra bracket that lands right in that area, so we'll have to figure that out. Let's get started and get this thing jacked up and roll that rear end out. I got it all pretty much stripped down except for the parking brake cables. I don't think I'll have to remove those. Maybe I'll just remove the calipers instead, but this is what we're working with. And what we need to do is move this flange to face forward, and also found out that the breather vent there is just a tapped hole, so I can tack weld that shut and move it inboard or wherever I need to put it. So I think I'm gonna call it a night though, and this will be tomorrow's project. Actually, Friday, and it's a beautiful day. And we're gonna focus today on getting the front suspension done. I still only have this side all tack welded, so I'm gonna finish weld all this and get it spray painted, covered up so it won't rust. And then I'm gonna pull the bag and the shock back out on that side, because there is a few spots that I have yet to weld. And then I will be reassembling it and installing new brake discs, putting the calipers back on, and setting it back on the ground. And I think for the most part, we won't be messing with the front end too much after that, until we start marking up where the radiator is gonna sit. So let's get started by tearing out the bag on the passenger side and the got everything welded up, and went ahead and spray bombed it. It's just standard black, you know, I'm not trying to make any kind of crazy statement or anything, so just gonna go with that, and I'm gonna let this paint dry now, and then we will get everything reinstalled. While we're waiting for it to dry, we'll go ahead and swap out the brake discs, which means we have to pull off the dually adapters. This one's gonna be easy, that side's gonna be a little bit more difficult. I've got everything installed in the front suspension except for the shocks. And the reason for that is because we have to install a bump stop on him first. And in order to do that, we have to take off the top eyelet. So we're gonna get started on that right now. And this is what I'm talking about. We're gonna have to stick this top eyelet in the vise and then hold this nut with a wrench and it should break loose. We got our bump stops installed, so now we're ready to throw these shocks on the truck and then throw the wheels on and set that thing on the ground. There you have it. Front end is complete. We still don't have anything for the rear end, so I threw the front sheet metal back on just to see what she'll look like aired out. Good morning, it's Saturday, and now that we're done with the front suspension, I moved back on to the rear axle, and I still haven't gotten my mounting tabs yet for the four-link, but I can prep the axle to weld on the back brace and also flip the shock mount on the driver's side. I've been kicking around what I was going to do with the vent tube for the axle because it's kind of in the way of the extra support brace that goes on right here. And I was thinking I was going to move it, but space is pretty tight in here. And I think if I just cut a hole in this plate here big enough to fit a socket down in there, I can still access it if I need to, and the tube will be able to come out no problem, and it shouldn't compromise anything strength wise. So that's probably the plan for the vent tube, and I'll just mount the T-line for the brakes onto the back brace itself. That way I won't have to extend any of those lines. So I guess the first thing we'll be doing today is cutting off this guy here and flipping it around, and also getting this welded on. So the two main things I'm looking to do when welding this on is making sure that it's at 90 degree from the pinion angle. So the way I'm doing that is by checking the level of the plate and then checking the level of where the differential cover mounts. And if I get 90 here and 0 here, that's exactly where I want to be. And then the second thing is just spacing it equally from the shock mounts, and that's gonna put me at perfect center. So I'm almost ready to throw some tack welds down. Just gotta double check my level. Got the main support brace welded on there, and now I'm gonna have to drop the leaf springs in order to flip the axle more so I can continue to cut the weld on this shock mount, and then I'll be able to gain access to the other side better as well. Got the leaf springs off and rolled her over, so now I can just continue my cut here. I'm trying to essentially just remove the weld and the little bit of excess from the fusion, so I'm not actually cutting into the axle tube. We got our cut all the way through, and I've just been lightly hitting it with my 2-pound sledgehammer, and I've gotten it to crack completely around. So now just I think a couple more blows with the hammer, and I should have this piece off, and shortly we'll be re-welding it back on. All right, we got our axle tube all prepped. We did nick it a little bit with the cutoff wheel, removing this bracket, but it's not a big deal. I'm pretty sure we're gonna run a weld over it when we reinstall this guy anyways. And I got the bracket all prepped up as well. Clean the inside and outside edges. I'm gonna have to cut a little bit off of these upper legs, and I'm gonna have to do the same on this side as well because of the additional bracket that comes with the back brace. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure how much I need to cut off and then do this one before I weld it on. This just saved me a little bit of grinding. I mocked up the extra brace to see exactly how far down it does go, and it, like I expected, it meets the bottom of this flange. So we're just gonna have to cut off probably 3/4 of an inch on this guy straight across, and same with the one we've got removed. Weld laid down real nice, so that's one more thing off the checklist. Now we can flip it over and figure out exactly where we're gonna have to drill a hole in this guy in order for the tube to come out without interference. So I ended up jumping over to the passenger side and getting it all welded up, and now I'm ready to figure out where that hole needs to be drilled for the other side and get that side finished up. And then we'll be playing the waiting game again for those brackets for the 4 links. So hopefully they get shipped this week. I got a little overly confident with my plasma cutting abilities and cut out a potato instead of a circle, but I rounded it out as much as I felt it needed with the air file, and I've got good access now to the breather, which I'll probably never have to remove, but I'm ready to weld it. So let's get that done, and we will be done with this for today. I went ahead and rolled the axle back inside because I cleaned the undersides of the tubes in preparation for the link mounts that I'm going to be welding on there. So I don't want to get surface rust on it while we wait, but that's pretty much where it stands. Waiting on parts again.